Okay, so I want you to consider a couple of things here. In Season 2 so far, we've had 3 main talking points given to us. 1, a dark wave is coming to Verdansk. 2, there's going to be a Zombies Outbreak challenge event for a crossover sort of between Cold War and Warzone. And then also the entire season is being marketed as The End Begins as number 3. So logically that infers that something's going to be happening with zombies and maybe even something bigger, right? Well, the connections actually go pretty deep. And in this one, I'm going to try to explain what we're going to be seeing here within Season 2 and what we see unfold. So in this one, I really want to hear your thoughts down below. What do you think is going to happen here within Warzone and Season 2? Comment your prediction down below on what you think is going to happen, and also drop a like if you enjoyed this video. This is a heck of a theory we're going to be going into, so do me a favor and drop a like below if you enjoy it. As well, if you are new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on that road to 400,000 subscribers, and we'll keep you up to date with all things Cold War, Warzone, and anything, of course, Season 2 related as we roll into that within the next week. So if you're interested in joining the community, I'd love to have you. That said, let's jump into it. So like we mentioned, we know that these teasers, we're going to end up seeing 3 main key talking points: the dark wave approaching Verdansk, the zombie outbreak challenge event, and The End Begins. But really, that's not even the start. This actually started a couple of days ago, going on a week or so. We saw teasers in Rebirth start to happen, in which there was a static blip, which first gave us some Morse code here, and it seems to take us around the map in a couple of different locations. But the one that stood out and is the most relevant to the overall material that we know of so far is that of the coordinates, or rather grid square, of G9. That's the grid location for Verdansk that is just south of the port of Verdansk. There also was a message in Rebirth that loosely translated to the following transmission: Dispatcher, this is the Russian ship Vodianoy, channel 1-2. Dispatcher, we are requesting permission to transport goods to Verdansk. And Dispatcher, cargo is secured. All systems are in order. We are preparing to leave. Now, all while that was happening, it seemed like if you were paying attention to Rebirth Island, the ship that was just off the coast of Rebirth Island seemed to be getting further away. Now, that then translates over then to our next teasers that we saw in Verdansk. As of a couple of days ago, we saw our first introduction of the storm cloud that was off in the distance. At first, people wondered if this was real, and then it started to pop up in multiple locations. But this now seems to be appearing more frequently off in the coast, and you can see the storm cloud and lightning strikes and all above the ocean south of Verdansk. There also has been seen a ship off the coast, which again pops up randomly here and there so far, but it was the same ship that we saw off the coast of Rebirth, that being the Vodianoy. And finally, we, as of most recently of recording this video, had a teaser in Verdansk that was a much longer static transmission, and that transmission is where we can really start to see things cross over and our clues really starting to come together. This is a rough translation thanks to Holier Than Thou on Twitter, which it translates to Captain Rosenthal speaking, Russian ship Vodianoy, static, and then it picks back up with happened. We were transporting strange biological material. What have we done? There was an infection outbreak. I'm afraid we won't be able to contain it. And then a scream as if somebody was being killed. So how does this all piece together? Because believe it or not, we have ample amounts of teasers here, but to fully understand them, you have to recognize an entirely different marketing campaign. Sort of parallel or alongside of this Warzone side of teasers we've seen in-game, there, as of the past couple of days, has been a marketing campaign for the Outbreak mode from Treyarch. For this, jumping over to Treyarch, you gotta realize that Treyarch really isn't handling Warzone. We've already established that Raven has basically taken the driver's seat, and while there is a team at Treyarch working with Raven, they're not solely responsible for the coming content. So Warzone teasers, they're likely gonna be handled in an official capacity by Call of Duty and the Raven accounts, while Cold War specific items are likely gonna be handled by Treyarch. But that's where the Outbreak mode comes into play, a more open world variation of zombies set on fireteam maps. We ended up getting a few flashing teasers over the last couple of days, some showing off what looks maybe to be like Golova, the new map coming within Season 2. Some just look to be some backstory here, but the more important one in particular is that of a letter from Requiem that ends up giving a ton of important details. It goes as follows. Weaver, having reviewed the reconnaissance photos, I can confirm that these are the largest Ethereum crystals yet encountered, and they're spreading across the region. Air samples in the vicinity suggest that these are altering the atmosphere itself. We should schedule a chat at your earliest convenience regarding the likelihood of potential terraforming, from Dr. Strauss. The key here from this is that it's altering the atmosphere itself, so maybe you're starting to piece it together, but the end begins. we see a zombies-themed crossover event happening for the start of Season 2, perfectly timed with the new appearance of this storm surge and the ship coming to Verdansk. That storm surge caused by the Ethereum crystals is what's headed for Verdansk. The ship carrying the Ethereum crystals caused an outbreak on that ship, evidenced by the exact wording of that most recent teaser and transmission that we saw included in Verdansk. So we lost contact with those dispatchers, that crew, and this explains why there is no one on the other end from some of the teasers we've seen. So right now, we just have a runaway ship essentially heading right for Verdansk. But as for the initial event and what we'll see, I think it goes as follows. The Vodianoy departed from Rebirth. It was there from the beginning, being Cold War's link to Warzone, Rebirth being the facility Stitch oversaw that manufactured Nova 6. That storyline of Season 2 makes it seem like Stitch and Naga want us to believe the Nova 6 is the real threat, but in reality, it seems like it's those Ethereum crystals. But back on track, the Vodianoy departs from Rebirth. It makes its way to Verdansk, and the only real question mark I have in terms of canon and storyline is if there's any time jumps that were made by dimensional breaches or anything like that with Ethereum crystals as well, because we don't have a specific date for when Rebirth is being played within Warzone. The mentions of it in the storyline for Cold War are in the 80s, but Warzone takes place in the present day, so there might be something there with that, but we'll revisit that at a later date. But the ship is coasting towards Verdansk. There's an outbreak that took place, and now no one is alive on the ship. The ship will likely crash into the Warzone map. I'd be curious if it docks, because, well, who's going to dock it or slow the ship down? But if it crashes, that also negates any need for a mechanic overhaul or small choke points that would be caused by a lack of ability to swim in Warzone, so it would have multiple entrances and be a new POI that was connected to the mainland of Verdansk. But the crash happens, then the event for Season 2 starts. We have a zombie outbreak in conjunction with a launch of Outbreak for Cold War, and a new LTM like the Haunting of Verdansk and Zombie Royale happens, where we have a new challenge set and it goes along, we can earn some cool things and other things like that. But that's the first POI that we'll see introduced within Season 2 for Warzone. But if you recall that blog post that we ended up getting that detailed a little bit about what was coming within Season 2, it also mentioned that we'll see some more underground locations as well, which also plays into the theory of what's to come. Throughout the trailer, we see some of these bunkers opened up and some actually with Price and Co. moving through the bunkers. That one looks to be Bunker 11 or the bunker with the ICBM in it. Now, that's where it gets really wild, and we gotta kind of put on the tinfoil hat, maybe speculate a little bit here with this, because we don't know what locations underground are opening up, but we do know that we'll see something as detailed by that blog post. But while we have that new POI to explore at the beginning of Season 2, a few more locations underground to explore, none of this, even with a zombies outbreak mode, really looks like it's living up to that "the end begins" slogan until you consider what's in Bunker 11. Again, that's the ICBM, likely a nuclear device, what Price stopped Zakhaev from launching at the end cutscene of Modern Warfare storyline. That was the build-up from Modern Warfare 2019's campaign through Spec Ops and then into Warzone. That overarching story through multiple different modes capped off with that and then left on a cliffhanger of 141 communicating with Soap. But a great theory that I absolutely love is that this outbreak from zombies goes on, becomes uncontainable, and there needs to be a way to stop it. Quite literally, a nuclear option. We see the zombies outbreak event cap off on the 11th of March, which is so cleverly the first day of Warzone Year 2. The 1-year anniversary of Warzone is March 10th, so something may be big here at the very end of this. That event could end off with a cinematic or an event of its own, where maybe we see those secondary bunkers inside the bunkers you can get into with the keycards open up, and once there, maybe a cutscene happens for the NUKE event and we see that chaos unfold. We see that the nuclear option quite literally is deployed to get rid of all these zombies within Verdansk, and then we have to take shelter while everything else gets nuked. We wipe out the zombies, but also we wipe out a lot of, if not the majority of Verdansk in the process, leaving us coming out of it to a wasteland, a drastically changed Verdansk, but also releasing potentially either the new Warzone map in conjunction with that, or maybe just a trailer if it's something like Cold War's reveal event. Like they release a trailer saying, okay, this is going to be live tomorrow or in a week or in 2 weeks time. So it could be something that leads to a much bigger revelation, but also caps off an event with much to come, but also in the coolest way I think we could ever imagine. that's kind of where I'm at here at this, and while it may seem far-fetched to some, the wheels of this plan already look to be in motion. We have these scattered pieces, but when you start to look at it, you step back and look at the bigger picture, it kind of makes sense to me. Especially the zombies event, that's definitely something that I absolutely think is going to be 100% correct in that sense. You can absolutely come back to this video and mock me if it doesn't come to pass as such as of next week, but I'm sticking to those guns with that. And also when it comes to capping off the event in particular, I think that actually makes a ton of sense. So that's kind of where I'm at here with this, and I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this theory? Do you think that we're going to see the Aetherium crystals drop off, a zombies outbreak start from the Vodianoy and the ship that crashes into Verdansk, and that's how we see this entire event start? Do you think that we'll have to deploy a nuclear option to get rid of the zombie outbreak in terms of storyline and canon, and thus, do you think that will give us a drastically changed Verdansk and also the release of a brand new map in Warzone as well, that Ural Mountains map that we end up seeing? Do you think that'll happen? Love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. But again, drop a like if you guys enjoyed. I love theory videos like this, and it absolutely makes so much sense. So drop a like if you think so. Of course, if you are new to the channel, do be sure that subscribe button. We're on the road to 400,000 subscribers, and we'll keep you up to date with all things Cold War, Warzone, and anything COD related, especially with the big Season 2 ahead of us here. So make sure you stick it here if you're interested in any of that. If you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get kickbacks out of YouTube. Practically on both those. If you guys want to strike a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.